Hey guys, today I'm here with Laura Ordeal, mindset mentor, hypnotist, and a professional astrologer intuitive, which is exactly where we're going to head in the conversation, which is, what we hit in every episode pretty much. We've had a couple of hypnotherapists on and never an astrologer though. And I feel like now is a really good time to record something in that direction, considering it's Mercury retrograde and we just had this big eclipse.
Yeah, I love astrology. It's so fun. And I was always kind of afraid of it. I used to love to be looking at my horoscope and having fun, but I thought, oh, I could never learn all the stuff that there is to it. I just thought there's so much. I kind of would stand at the edge of it, peering over like, oh, that's so fun, but afraid to step into it and to go any further with it. And when I found the right person to dive into that with, it's been amazing. And it's so incredible how interesting it is and how life-changing it can be to look at a natal chart and see all the amazing things that are there for someone. So it's a lot of fun.
It is super complex. Most people don't realize how complex it is. Most people just think astrology consists of your sun sign and that's it. And honestly, that's not even the main sign you should be looking at if you're only going to look at one sign. So you have your moon and your rising and your whole entire natal chart, and everything interacts with each other. And also, a lot of people call crap on it, they're like, that's not real. You really believe that stuff? And I always tell people that it really doesn't matter if you believe it or not. Uh, Nonetheless, it is a beautiful introspective tool. And especially if you're getting ready to do the inner work to heal and move forward and manifest the life that you want, create what you want out of life, and build better relationships and learn about yourself. And, there's so many different directions that we could go with all of this life stuff and doing it better. But people don't know where to start. And a lot of us start with meditation, but we don't even really know where to go in that direction either. And astrology is a good intro tool because it's going to give you something to start with, because it's going to give you something to like a direction and a overall theme to look at in your life and dissect and analyze and move forward with.
It does. It really does. And it's so incredible. And it's a science that's been around for thousands and thousands of years. People don't realize that it and has been a science for a very long time. It's not just a energetic woo thing, which I love the energetic woo thing too, but this is something that you dive in, you look at, and is there intuition in some of it? Absolutely. Yeah. I use my intuition when I'm creating a chart and telling people about it, about how certain things connect and why that's important. And the sun sign is important. It's kind of like the base layer that we came into this world with. But it's like trying to say, okay, well, let's make a cake, and you put the flour in, and it's like, okay, done. That's not how it works. You gotta you gotta add all of the other ingredients in there to get the flavor of who you are and what's important in your life. And it can tell you so much. And the thing that I really love about it is people often they have parts of themselves that are very um vibrant or that are a big part of them, and it gets shut down. Kids from a young age and then even into adulthood, they're told you're too much, quiet down, be less of, do this, don't be so loud, don't be so fidgety. Or they're told you're too sensitive, you need to buck up, you need to be different, is what they're being told. You need to be different than who you are. And what I get to do when I do a chart for someone is I get to show them that is who you are. And it's absolutely amazing because just even looking at the elements in astrology is so simple and yet so powerful. Because if you look at kind of how the chart's comprised, it has 4 different elements: earth, air, fire, water. And it's going to show you, you came into this world with an abundance maybe of one, or a balance, maybe none of one, which can mean 2 things. That you're either really good at it and you don't need to anything to amplify it, or you really kind of suck at it and you need to put a lot of effort into it. And so when we look at the balance of just the elements, I can sit and talk to somebody and say, you know, you have a lot of fire in your chart. You are meant to be bold and to stand up and to light the way for so many of us. So many of us need to light our fire off of all the energy that you put into the world. Don't let anyone quiet that or dampen that or tell you it's too much. There are warriors, our pioneers, the people that move forward. And it's so important for those people to be out there in the world. And yet they're stomped down, you know, they're hidden their light because they've been told for so long, oh, you know, you just say the thing, don't you? Or whatever it is, in a negative way. And so if I get to show them the positive side of it, it's so exciting. It's so fun. People who have water, a lot of water in their chart, they're pretty incredible. Yet they're told often, you're too sensitive, or you're always in yourself. You know, you kind of hide yourself, or something like that. You know, you need to engage more. The thing is, they're our emotional realm. You know, they're the emotional people in our world. They're our caretakers. They're the people who, if moving in their energy correctly, they're our empaths. They're the ones that can feel into what somebody might need. And especially like Scorpio. Scorpio gets a bad rap. Oh my goodness. You're so intense. You're so this, you're so that. And yet they go so deep into such beautiful territory. Have you ever seen those pictures where the water scenes where you can see clearly like underneath the water, and it, you know, it's so beautiful, and you kind of see up above the water and stuff? That's our water signs, especially Scorpio. They can see the flow, the underflow of life that is there. They see life, they see death, they see all the deep, dark things, where most of us are kind of up on the surface going, eek, it's a little scary, it's a little dark down there. I don't know. The others are diving deep, especially Scorpio, diving deep under there going, it's so beautiful, it's so interesting, and I want to show you what this is. And they do if we let them. They do. Also with water signs, and again, I'm going to say I use Scorpio because they do get tossed around a lot, but they feel things at such a different level. If you've ever been at a beach and you've been in the waves, you know, they tumble you around, you know, all around. But you can learn to navigate them. You can dive under, you can ride a wave in, you know, you can float out until it passes. You learn to navigate that. That's what the water signs are doing, especially Scorpio. Scorpio in this particular instance is navigating emotion at that level. That's the level that they're at an emotional realm. The rest of us are over here on the lazy river, cruising along, having a time, maybe a few rapids here and there. And so we're looking, going, what's the big deal? What are you so intense about? What's going on? They're constantly in that state of navigating those waves, you know, so they're bobbing here, going there, diving under, trying to manage that. So yeah, they might hold a little bit more in because there's a lot there. And when they have maybe taken somebody with them and dove down and looked at all these beautiful things in life, they're told, ooh, you're kind of dark, or boy, you're so intense, you know, my goodness, when they're just trying to show us what they see, which is beautiful, beautiful. And you know, the cancers of the world, they are hopefully at the empath level. There's kind of a difference. Sometimes people say, I'm so empathic, where sometimes they're more sympathetic. They don't know how to navigate the emotions. They just take it all in. But mostly the Cancer can tell us, here's how we navigate emotion. Here's how we use it. Here's how we care for the people around us. And they absorb the energy and give when they need to. It's really a beautiful exchange. Is that making sense?
Oh, absolutely. I'm loving this so much, and I'm gonna prompt you to do Earth and
Earth,
air as well.
Earth, Earth are the ones that are told, hurry up. Hurry up, you got to get going, because they're taking their time. They're the ones that will start the story that happened, something happened 2 months ago, and they have to explain all the little parts that go up until the thing that happened yesterday. But all of that is really relevant to them in this story part. So you have to give them time to tell the story to get through it. They're not going to jump on making a big decision. They're going to take their time. And the earth signs are our manifestors and our connectors to the energy of the earth. The Capricorn is the one that says, we can do this. We can get things done. Let's work together. And they'll lead the way and they'll show us it's absolutely possible to bring all the big and wonderful things into your life, into reality. And the Taurus will show us how beautiful it is to really bring in the quality in life, to find our sanctuary in our home, to be at that level that says, ooh, this feels so good. And Virgo they're the ones that are so amazing, and they will put things in place. They create um, ways of doing things that just put it in line. They're the list makers. They're the ones that are the list makers. Check, check, check. Everything is perfect. Let's get the details in play. They're amazing that way. Um, and there's difficult sides to all these, obviously. Yeah, I'm talking about the most wonderful sides of them, and that's the part I want them to see. But those earth signs are our connection to really being in this world and creating the reality that we want. So it's important to value that, and they will show us how to do that in the best ways possible. Air signs, oh my gosh, oh, you're so up in your head. You jump from one idea to the next. Can't you ever settle on something? They're the ones reading 7 books at one time and doing, I happen to be an air sign, so I absolutely get that. But they're also our communicators. They're the ones that are going to do the podcast. They're going to be the journalists. They're going to be the ones that say the things. They're going to be the one at the party that brings all of the different, spokes of the wheel together to have the conversation. And it's going to be so interesting. They are also the ones that are bringing balance into our relationships. Libra, they are so wonderful, and yet they're so cute. I love Libra. They get stuck in the, oh, I really want a relationship. And then they get in a relationship and they're like, oh my goodness, I need alone time. I so need alone time. Because they do. They need both. And they're showing us about balance of being able to be whole in ourselves and be part of a relationship. And relationships are everything in our world.
Mhm.
We have relationships with ourselves, with romantic, with work, with our home, with our earth. Everything is a relationship. And then you have the Aquarians in that, the air sign. I know Aquarius sounds funny to be an air sign, but they are. And they're the ones that are there, that they're like, let's fly the freak flag. Let's be weird and wonderful and out there a little bit. Let's save the world. And at the same time, let's create all the amazing, genius things in terms of technology that will make all of us have life be so much better. They are incredible in that. And so they all serve that, but they get told on the bad side of things. You're out here, what are you in space somewhere? Where's your mind? Why can't you concentrate? Why can't you be on this? And I like to show them, you need to be out in space. You need to be bringing the amazing ideas into our life. You are our creators. Bring those wonderful things. I don't care if you anchor into, each one. That's not the important part. The important part is to use that energy in the way that was going to benefit all of us. And when we see people doing that, we know it's possible. When we see people in leadership roles, in manifesting, in creating in our earth, we know it's possible. So everyone needs to really be using those best sides and the bountiful energy that they're given to be in this world in a way that is amazing, because it helps the rest of us to live the life that we're meant to live. We experience all of those every day. We experience all four elements every day. Water is emotion, also physically water. We get up, we get water, we go to the bathroom, we do that. We kind of check in. How are we feeling? We might start by using our communication, our air, talking about it, or listening to something these days. Listen to podcasts, listen to whatever, meditation, something like that. We move into our day, our earth. We get things going. We anchor into our work and what we're doing in this world to manifest the life. And we need the fire energy because that's movement, action, doing all of that, bringing things into the energy of being. So they're all incredibly useful and meaningful. There you
Yeah.
go.
You have to have the balance. You got to find the balance, and knowing what you possess a lot of in your chart can help you find that balance. And I love how you were talking about children and how we all start out ourselves. We are born ourselves, and then we become adults and we're like, I have no idea who I am. I've been trying to fit into all of these boxes my whole life. And then we panic and we legitimately can't figure out who we are. And it takes all of this diving into these different modalities to try to peel back layer and layer that we've put on as a mask to the rest of the world in order to figure it out. And then when we do, every little layer that we do figure out about ourselves, it clicks and you're like, oh, turns out I already knew that. It was just suppressed. It was just turned off. It was just alchemized towards something that somebody else liked, for that external validation so that we could be liked by our community, which I talk in almost every episode is innate. It's something we're born with. We're born with the desire and urge to be a part of the community because we needed the community to survive for thousands of years. If you were, we're communal creatures, and we needed the village or else we wouldn't last very long out in the wild. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, our whole experience is not to be here alone. Our whole experience as a human is to be here in relationship and in communication and connection with everything that's here as a part of our life. And it is important to bring balance. You think about a car driving down the road. I often talk about the elements in terms of those four tires. When you have one that's all pumped up and big, and you're really using that, or that's what you're feeling most of, you're going to kind of limp along. Or if you have one that you're not using at all or not engaging with, like a flat tire, you're not going anywhere. You really need to bring balance to all of them. And it's super simple to do. It's not that you have to, oh, now I have to, oh, I have to bring something special into my life to do that. No, you just do it. You go and you communicate. If you need to bring air out in your life, you go, you have a chat with someone, you journal, you do a podcast, you do whatever it is to do that. Create the ideas. If you need to bring out earth, go connect with the earth, literally. Go walk barefoot on the earth. Changes you physically, absolutely changes you physically. There's an electronic balance that we have in our body that connects with the earth, and it changes it.
mhm.
If you can't get outside and walk barefoot, there's lots of ways to do it. There's make a list to bring earth in. Just down and make a list and do a checklist on that to amplify your earth, or bring in something beautiful and luxurious to really feel what it feels like to be in that manifest of joy and comfort and all of that. If you need to bring fire in, move your body in some way. Say the things you need to say. Be blunt, be expressive, be the stand for the underdog in some way. You can do it. You can bring any part of that into your life in some way every single day.
Yeah, and we want to complicate it. We want
We
to
do.
think We always want to complicate everything, but we need to learn that things can be simple. Things actually really are very simple underneath it all. It's all of the gunk and the layers that society and culture have piled up on top of us that complicate it. If you just dial it back a little bit and you're like, well, Savannah, I don't know anything about the elements. I don't know anything about astrology. How am I supposed to figure out, for one, what elements I need more of? And for two, how am I supposed to figure out how to get those elements in my life? And if you sit still for a second and just look around at where you are, you can pretty intuitively figure out what's earth, what's air, because everything's related to some sort of element. And then there's totally apps that we can get you to plug your birthday in to that'll tell you which ones you are.
There you go. Or you can reach out to an astrologer and have that conversation and have
Mhm.
them help you guide through it and talk with you. And I think it's really important sometimes. Absolutely go and do it yourself. I encourage that all the time. Go look at this, go look at that. But if you've never done it with someone that really knows what they're doing, do it. It will change your way of seeing yourself, change your way of seeing how to work with yourself, with the energies that come up, with the experiences that come up in life. And it will give you kind of a foundation and a guide. And it does, absolutely. It is an affirmation, a permission slip, all of those things. But it's also an outside perspective. It's a little bit of a cheat because it's looking inside, but it lets you see you from an observer point of view, which we so often are, we struggle at because we are who we are. You know, as even as an intuitive or someone else, intuitives will often go to other intuitives to get information because they struggle with seeing objectively as an observer what's going on in their own life. Same thing there. Go do and be, but always know that it's great to have an outside perspective and to show you, something that you might not have even known was something to look at in your life. Looking at your purpose, your life lessons, things like that. Oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't see that in my life. If I lean into that a little better, this might really move my career forward in a way I didn't see it, or my simple acceptance of who I am and knowing that I fought against that for most of my life. It's so funny. I had a conversation with a friend who I read her chart and I've helped her learn a little bit because she wanted to after doing the chart. She's like, I'd like to be able to kind of look at my kids and do that. Can you help me? And I did. And she said, actually, you know, she was dating a twin. And she said, I don't get it. How are they so different? If they're twins and they have the same, within minutes of each other, the same influences and things. I said, I'll bet. Let me ask you this. I knew who she was dating and kind of the situation. I said, okay, he's like this. I said, is the other one like this? And I explained all these other little versions. And she said, yeah, that's what he does. That's how he is. And I said, because he's still in the same energy, but he's leaning into the difficulties of it. He's leaning into the hard side of it instead of going with it as an energetic flow and saying, ooh, I do have a lot of air. If I do this, it's gonna, you're gonna flow easier. And I can use the earth here to amplify that, or I can use the fire to make it bigger. He's going in and saying, he's fighting against that and going, I don't want to talk about it. I don't do that, and being kind of the petty person on this side, or saying all the things that he shouldn't be saying when he knows better. So he's leaning into the difficulty. And we can do that in life. Capricorns are they can be amazing at getting things done, doing the thing, leading the way. They can be lazy as heck too. They can be the one that's lounging all around and just whining about everything and not, they just don't want to go do the job. Same energy, they're just leaning in it differently because they are not accepting that they have the ability to really move in a way that's incredible. And when they just start looking at it as, oh, that's what that is, and I can move in it a different way. Wow, opens all kinds of doors.
Yeah, there's positive and negative in everything. You know, it's the yin and the yang. So you have to find the balance of the both. And we spend, because I like to try to say things like helpful and unhelpful instead of good and bad, because good and bad are human constructs that we really get hung up on. And then we suppress the things that society says is bad. But when you look at it and you really dissect it from a subjective point of view, an unbiased point of view, you find that like it's just a tool. And for like money, for example, a lot of people, there's this whole thought basis belief system that money is the root of all evil. And no, money is a tool that causes people like some doesn't money's not doing nothing. Sorry, that's misspeak on me. Money's just sitting there waiting to be used. And then people come along and use it for either good or bad. And just like that, everything in our life is neutral. It's two sides of one coin. And we use the words positive and negative think of it like a magnet. The balance is in the middle, but you need both the positive side and the negative side for the magnet to exist at all. And reality is the same way. So, yeah, leaning into the to one side or the other is a choice that we have in all of the things.
It is. It is. And if we want things to move smoother and we're aware of what we can lean into to help that continue and move us, to the best part of our life, to being in that best version. If you're aware of it, you can consciously do it and work with the subconscious of moving that in a direction. If you're not aware and you're just struggling with the challenges of dipping into one side, dipping into, why is this always happening? Why am I always having this challenge that comes up of where, I want to really dig into the details, but I'm worrying about the bigger picture and what's going on. Why can't I bring those two together? If you understand, hey, that's happening in your life. This is why you're so detailed. You have Virgo and whatever, and that's the detail oriented. And then you have this opposite side that's really, Sagittarius or something, whatever it is. You have this other thing going on that's making you look at the bigger picture of things. You can do both. You can still be the party guest that goes around and sees how everyone's doing, and knowing that you've set the whole party up to flow in a certain way and it's going to go wonderfully and the overall picture of it is good. You don't have to swing into one side or the other. You can use them both to your benefit and bring that middle ground in. Does that mean you're not going to lean into one sometimes, lean into the other? No, but if you're using the best energy on both of those sides, it's going to turn out wonderfully. If you're dipping back and forth and you're kind of dragging into the lower energy of them, it's going to be a constant battle. It's not going to be super fun. And that's your choice.
Yeah, we find ourselves wanting to be consistently the same all of the time. We want to hang out in that balanced area all the time, and we feel like if we go too far on one side or too far on the other side, then we're doing something wrong. And the truth is the matter is that life in and of itself is a constant teeter-totter. We're going to be going back and forth, and we hit the middle. We just want to try to hit the middle, the balanced area as often as we can. And that's as good as we're going to get, and that's okay. And because we're not perfect, and we're human, and we're never going to be perfect. So we have to learn how to be a little less rigid and be okay with the waves that come and go and toss us from one side to the other.
Yeah, I often think of it as a roller coaster. So many people, they think that we have to, when we're supposed to be experiencing emotions, which can be a struggle for a lot of people, to go, ooh, okay, I'm going to take the time to feel the emotions, to do that. You don't have to sit for a long period of time in an emotion. We're not meant to sit for a long period of time in an emotion. It's like that roller coaster ride where you're constantly in flow, you're constantly moving, and you're going from fear to excitement to, ooh, it's relief, all of these things that are going on. What happens is sometimes it gets stuck in the bottom, like at the bottom of one of those things, and you're kind of just swaying back and forth. That's when depression kicks in, anxiety kicks in, overwhelm kicks in, because you think, oh, and you're stuck in this emotion, which is a whole nother discussion around like subconscious and all that. But you're stuck in this emotion when all you really needed to do was take a moment, allow the emotion to flow through you, experience it. It can be that much right there, as long as it took me to say that, and feel it and go, okay. And then it releases and goes. Will it come back? Maybe. Take a moment, let it go. However many times during the day to do that. But just the awareness, just bringing yourself the awareness and allowing it to flow through you is the process that we're meant to live in. We're never meant to be void of difficulties or problems or any of that. We're meant to experience it, move on from it. Same thing with joy and happiness and all that. We're meant to experience it. We're going to move through it into something else. We might have frustration. We might have anger. We might have sadness. As long as you are not staying in it, it's okay. It's okay to feel all the crazy, amazing emotions that are in this world, because that's who we are as people. Enjoy it, have fun with it, be aware of it. In that awareness, you won't sink into the difficult places.
Yeah, awareness is all of the job. 100%. Just being aware of everything all of the time. There's no other tools that you need. There's knowledge and tools help. They make it easier. Uh, they're there to be used, but the awareness of who you are, how you are, why you are the way you are, why others are the way they are, the past experiences and what growth they brought to you. Because again, it's nothing is consistent. The only constant is change. And the sooner that we can accept that, the sooner we can have a whole lot more fun on our roller coaster. Because instead of trying to stop it, because that's what a lot of us are trying to do, is trying to stop the roller coaster, which you can't. And all you're gonna do is get run over or get dragged along, like boom, 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 like pulled across the tracks and cause more damage the more you fight it. You have to learn how to flow with it instead of fighting it. And the the downs are temporary. And I love the roller coaster. People we're a roller coaster analogy is something a lot of us hear a lot in relation to life and whatnot. But how many of us actually sit there and think about the analogy and compare piece by piece the roller coaster to the analogy of life? For example, when you get into that little rut in the bottom, little valley, and you sit there for a little bit, the track then has to hook into the what do you call the seats?
Rails.
Yeah, and it like just drags you up little by little, and it's so slow going to the top. That's the same thing as digging yourself out of depression. You have to work a little bit harder in that moment, but once you finally peak out, and you got to trust that you will peak out, then it's smooth sailing for a while until you hit another valley, and then you got to tick, 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 tick all the way back up to the top again. But this time it's probably going to be easier because you did it the first time. Uh, Instead of fighting it, you're like, okay, well, fighting it just makes it take longer to get to the top. If I just take a breath and then just start the work, then you get up there and then you've built strength and you've grown. And that, how you grow and how you build strength, that's not only physical wise, but also mentally and emotionally. So these things, these patterns that pop back up to teach us the same lesson that we just did. And that's frustrating, right? You get the same patterns over and over again, but you get better at handling it every time. For example, like if you have that one family member that just pushes every button that you have and you can't stand to be around them. Well, getting through that with awareness and intentionality and purposefulness. Uh, this first time will make you, it'll make it easier to handle them the second time, and it'll make it easier to handle them the third time because you're learning their patterns in contrast to your own. And then you can predict and prepare for the next interaction and meeting. It's the same across everything in life.
It is, and what people don't realize is that, they say, "Oh, I'm back where I started. I'm learning the same lesson I'm learning." No, you're not, actually. It's not a circle. It's a spiral. And
Hmm.
you're always in a different place. When you come back to a situation, you are not the same person that dealt with it the last time. You are not the same person that has dealt with it the last several times. And actually, if you see something continuously coming up, I would say it's time to go have a conversation with your subconscious, because if that's the same thing that you're coming up against, then it's time to address it. You're being given hints and instruction, and before it does come in and say, "Hey, we're going to stop you in your tracks right now," because it will. And you're going to face this and deal with this. Before it gets to that, go in and start doing the work at that subconscious level to hit the reset button, to clear those things, so that then you come up and out of that and you're moving with momentum and confidence, and in a way that says, "I can do this." And even if you have things that come at you, you have that core at that point. When you hit that reset button, you go in and clear those things. You have the core that says, "I'm okay, no matter what's going on around me." It can be wild, all these things, and the things that do trigger you, like that family member before. Now you come into the situation and go, "Wow." And you see it from a whole different perspective. And there's no connection, emotional soft spot to be hit anymore, because you've cleared it. It's
Hmm.
gone. And that's the magic right there of going at the subconscious level and changing those things.
Yeah, things that trigger us are an opportunity to heal, cleanse, let go of something that's causing us issues, and you'll find life is a whole lot better on the other side. But again, you have to flow with it instead of fighting it.
Right. If you are in movement, like I said, with that energy, I always think of it as like a flow that kind of comes and goes and comes and goes. When you're in that, you have the momentum and you have the ability to move through those low points, and you're going to go right back up the other side and move in a new direction. And you decide in that moment, "Oh, am I moving in a good direction?" And you can actually feel it inside yourself. Fear and excitement come up as the same emotion, and we decide, "I'm moving into fear," or "I'm moving into excitement." You can feel that and go, "Ooh, that's interesting. I wonder what that's about." And you can make the choice to go into that interest, to go into the excitement, to go into a different direction than you've ever gone before. When you go in and you reset at that deepest level, you come to that new zero point where forever going forward, things are going to be different. Does that mean you need to learn to navigate it a little bit differently? Probably, because now you have things that are not stopping you in your tracks. You don't have that overwhelming feeling of, anxiety that comes in when you have to go around people, or when you have to go do something, speak at something. You don't have that coming up. So it's like, "Ooh, I don't, I don't, I don't feel that. Now what? Now what do I do?" And you move forward in a different way. Same thing physically. Things we don't realize that our physical is just as connected to the energetic, and the uh, subconscious can change that. The subconscious is running you physically anyway. So when you are working with that, you can change migraines, get rid of migraines, IBS, chronic fatigue. All of those things come into play. Are those important at an energetic level too? Yes, because it's telling us, if we're constantly in depression, something's not right. We need to do something. And if we're moving in the way that we need to clear that energetically, but it's not working, that's a signal for us to go into our subconscious, work with that, hit the reset button, and then we can come out and use all of those amazing gifts and even the challenges in a way that work wonders in our life. If you're stuck in some of that stuff, it is hard to navigate all of the energy that we experience in this world. Air, fire, water, earth, all of them were like, I'm doing okay with this, but I keep getting stuck in this. Maybe you keep getting stuck in that because there's something stuck back in that subconscious and all of those wonderful files in our subconscious brain that it's operating on that's no longer serving you. You can go in and clear that. And then working in that energy is so easy and so manageable and so fun.
Yeah, and it becomes easier the more you go because it does seem really, really complex at first. And what do you mean? This thing that happened to me when I was 6 is what's causing my migraines now. What? That doesn't make any sense to me. What do you mean? Because we didn't have the science to really back up all of these ancient teachings until now, and we needed the science to understand because and I could dissect that from a history standpoint and why we landed in such a physical need need to be able to see, hear, feel, taste, touch anything to make it real. But the stagnant energy, everything is energy. Everything is energy. Everything's made out of the same particles and that don't even touch. We just have the illusion that the desk is real, is solid, and there's scientifically no reason we can't put our hand through it, and yet we can't. So, working with that stuff that barely makes any sense, um, you're made of the same things that the desk is made out of, and it's all swirling energy. And we need that movement of the energy like the water, like if a if a river gets dammed up, then things collect, trash collects, and toxins from other things get all, you've seen little pools in rivers. I don't know, I do a lot of kayaking, so I really get the water analogies. But you'll get these little stagnations where the water gets trapped and it doesn't flow and it just stagnates in this little pool off to the side. And it almost always has this gross film over the top of it because things aren't clear, filtering out. And your body, the energy does the exact same thing. So to clear that out, movement is a wonderful thing. You just have to keep moving. You have to keep moving. And that means not only physically, it definitely means physically, but it also means emotionally and mentally, consciously, being aware. You're always moving forward in some way or another. And I think a lot of us sometimes confuse that movement for so we try to run away from our problems and feelings and emotions, and you can't do that. That's not the type of movement we mean. Like a lot of people be like, okay, I see that and it's over there, but I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna ignore it and I'm gonna keep going. And you can't really do that. You have to look at it, address it. Kind of like being a parent and your kid is causing some issues. You can't turn a blind eye to it and hope it goes away. You have to look at it and be like, hey, what are you doing and why? Well, here's why we're not going to do that. And here's a direction that we're going to take that's better. You have to do the kind of the same thing with your own belief systems and your thoughts, because your thoughts and your belief systems create your emotions and your feelings, which create your physical body, which can lead to health or sickness, or bad relationships or good relationships, or good money management skills or poor money management skills, or literally anything.
Yeah, and you can change any of those things.
Mhm.
And some of them are going to be easier for some people than others. That's the whole process of like with the elements and things like that. Some people are going to be easier with body, moving their body. People who have a lot of fire rest in movement. it feels better for them to be moving and doing things. They're the ones that'll clean the house to just rest and feel good, or go for the walk, and people who are really emotional at the emotional level, have a lot of water. They're going to really feel good getting in water, literally. I tell people, if you're struggling with that emotional process, go put your feet in some water. If you can't get into a pool or a lake or a river, do something where you're connected with water. And so it really is connecting with that energy sometimes, which sounds crazy, but it's so simple. Like we said in the beginning, it makes the difference. And if you're struggling with something, you said you can't ignore. Exactly right. If you're, and I'm going to again put this at the subconscious level, we have parts of us that are created from when we are tiny, 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 like even when we're born, and things things can be anchored in. Situations are anchored in, which create those beliefs, which create the way that we move in the world, which create sometimes blocks, because our subconscious is always, its main job is to keep us safe.
Mhm.
In keeping us safe, that can get uncomfortable for us sometimes, because it might be doing things, throwing things in our way that don't feel good, like fears or the overwhelm or a physical thing that all of a sudden shows up. And I often speak to it, I use a puppy, where a puppy comes up to us. You get a puppy and it wants attention and wants attention, wants attention. If you don't give it attention, it's going to go pee on your rug and chew up your chews and do all the bad things. If you give it attention, it's going to work with you, be a companion. That's your subconscious. Your subconscious will throw things at you where it feels like they're peeing on your rug. And it's like, oh my goodness, what's happening? And you have the anxiety, you have the panic attacks, you have something that's showing up in your life, and it's like, what the heck? We need to give some attention to those things and hit that reset button, and then work in the way that we're meant to work in this world.
Absolutely. I use a puppy analogy for the same way sometimes. I also tell people that just like you need to pet your puppy on the head every now and then until it's doing a good job, you got to do that to yourself as well. And if your puppy has some tummy issues with certain foods, then you're going to have to rework their diet and find a better food that works for them. We're so good at taking care of other people and our pets, and that doesn't always translate back to taking care of ourselves. If you have to take care of yourself the exact same way you would take care of your dog or your grandmother or your child, whatever have you, that you take really good care of. Your car, you gotta make sure the oil's changed. You gotta keep everything nice and clean, or else it's gonna feel gross in there. And there's a lot of analogies we could use, but the better you take care of yourself, the easier these things are going to be to interpret and figure out and learn and find a better direction to move forward in.
Absolutely.
And I love how we got on the subject of the elements in astrology specifically. Most people, I've had tons of people come to me because my brand is Earth and Water. So I'm Earth and Water all over the place, earthandwater.co, and on my Instagram handles and all of that. But it came from astrology. It was the earth signs and water signs, because me and my husband both are earth and water signs respectively in our sun and moon. We're both Tauruses, and then I'm a Pisces moon and he's a Scorpio moon. So, and that's exactly that energy is what translated into what everything I do is about. It's the bringing the physical, the tangible, the practical in with the woo-woo, the magic, the depth, the intuition, the subconscious, and connecting them both to find a balance and moving forward. Um, all the elements are important, but those are the two that I for sure connect with the most. The air and the fire, I don't know. We could continue to dissect in a personal manner, but we don't need to.
Yeah, and somebody else will connect totally with one of those or both of those, or they might feel like, well, I think I kind of do all of that in different ways, and that's fine. That's great. That probably means that you're working wonders in your life and you're really in the energy of that. But usually there's going to be an influence in your life that is standing out. It can be different for everyone. Oftentimes people will say, I don't connect with my sun sign. I don't, it doesn't feel like that. Well, maybe you have a Saturn energy that's really big and expansive in some way in your life that really is kind of directing you in a way, and that's what you feel connected to. Or maybe you have four other planets that are in something else. That's a big influence, that's going to maybe show you how it shows up in your life in a way, and you're really feeling into those other energies more than any particular parts of your sun sign. But if you look closely, you will still find parts of that, because again, that's your base layer. That's you're not going to live in your life without some qualities of those showing up.
Yeah, and if you're looking for an astrologer, there's a lot of people out there doing astrology that don't actually know astrology. So I need everybody to know that that's a thing. Use a little discernment. You probably don't want to find the Instagram account that you've been following for 3 years that just posts uh Tauruses today will be like this, or Geminis look out for yada yada this week. Um that's a hard no. A lot of these
Yeah,
accounts are out there just trying to get views and numbers.
yeah, people are often, I they'll say, oh, I'm this or I'm that, and it's like, that's great, but I would want to know so much more, to really look at who you are as a whole person, as all of the energies combine. I want to see what kind of cake you are with, all the little, do you have sprinkles, or do you, just get down to business cake? Is it dense? Is it fluffy? What's going on? And everyone is so different and so wonderful. And yet every part of astrology that I pull in is at that kind of scientific level. I'm going to look at, here's, the planet that's there, here's the house that it's a part of. So in those combinations, I'll bet you feel this kind of an influence in this area of your life, because it makes a difference. Someone might have their moon in a water sign, but it's and someone else over here has their moon in a water sign, but they're in different houses, and that influences. So you have to look at all the different, it's like, doing a math problem. You're not just going to take one number and go, oh, there it is. There's the answer. No, you have to see that plus this minus that equals this, and you're putting it all together, a little string of lights that's beautiful and amazing. And I'm not just going to concentrate on one thing. I'm going to look at them all. And again, intuition comes into it when I'm doing a chart, because someone might have an almost exact same chart as someone else, but there's kind of nuances in there that make a difference, because there is this little something different on how it's showing up in your life. And it is you like those twins, exactly the same charts. One's leaning into one thing, one's leaning into the energy of something else. So they're very different in how they approach life. And if I look at that and go, are you leaning in this way, or do you see it showing up this way? That gives me a clue to say, okay, we're gonna talk about it in this way. But if I just said, here's what should be happening according to this, that you might feel really off and go, ooh, that's not me at all. So I want to know, which way do you see it showing up in your life, this way or this way? And then we can take off and run a little bit and go, okay, let's talk about that and have some fun with it.
Yeah, because it's again an introspective tool, and free will is always a factor in that.
It is always, we choose our happiness, we choose our life, we choose our path, and we choose whether to make that a little bit easier or make it a mountain climb, difficult thing every day. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, not to say that things don't happen that make it more difficult. You know, our astrology chart is just like any other thing in life where you're dealt a hand of cards. And then it's up to you how to play those cards. You know, you can play them strategically, you can play them to the best of your abilities, but you still have a set hand to work with
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Yeah, we all have, and we're meant to work with that and draw in all of the other things. But why not? If you are handed a lot of earth, why not work in that energy and really develop it and bring it in ways? Do you still need water? Yes. Do you still need fire or sunshine or, that energy? Yes. Do you still need the communication about what's going on or the ideas of what to create next? Yes. But why not run with what you've got
Hmm.
and really amplify it?
Yeah, working with what you have rather than fighting against it again, you know, it's always an ebb and flow. So this has been wonderful. It was a really good hour. Tell everybody how they can find you and what you have to offer and anything else you want to plug.
You bet. They can find me with my name. It's Laura Ordeal. It looks like Ordile, Lauraordile. And that's my website, lauraordeal.com. And that will give you a lot of information about what I do. I'm on Facebook under my name, Instagram, TikTok. I have a group on Facebook called The Change Gang. And that's a free group to come join me in. And I also have a podcast called The Change Gang. So you can hear all about it. If you go back a little bit, I did actually dive in. It's kind of a fun series that I did. I dove into all the different signs and how they show up in each planet. And so that was kind of fun. So if you go look for those, you'll see you can look up Taurus or Virgo or any of those. And it will tell you if you have Virgo in Sun and in the Moon and in Saturn and Mercury, it goes through all of them. So it's kind of fun.
Tell us your big three. What is your sun, moon, and rising signs?
I have Gemini, and my rising's interesting, but it is Sagittarius. The one thing, so people will talk about, I have to say this real quick. People will talk about cusps with astrology. I don't deal with that very much. The one time that you might have like a flow or a little bit of an influence from another sign, it's like, oh, it's on the cusp. No, the one time you're going to have that influence is if it's at 0 degrees, because it's a little bit like the door is still open. So the breeze is blowing through before you actually get through the door and close it into that next sign. So anytime it's at 0 degrees, you might have the influences of both signs. And my rising sign happens to be at 0 degrees. So it's a little bit I'm like, which one do I lean into more? Sagittarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius. So that's a little bit of a fun fact there that's how I learned and I've found to be true with people. But I have a lot of Gemini in my chart. I have a lot of air, and so I can talk all day long.
That's good though. Yeah, cusps are a pet peeve of a lot of real astrologers. So if someone tells you that you're a cusp, because people think it's so common and it's not because the zodiacs change at a specific time of day, and that's why cusps aren't actually a thing. It depends on what time you are born. I have a similar issue with my rising sign though. For years, my rising sign showed up as an Aquarius, and it made sense. It totally tracked. And then one day I plugged it in again. I like lost my chart. I couldn't find it. Like I had it saved on my computer and on my phone, and suddenly it was just gone. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I plugged everything back in, same numbers, I swear. And then now it says that my rising sign is Capricorn. So I always make a joke that we shifted timelines because Capricorn also makes complete and utter sense, but
Yeah.
they bleed into one another anyway, a little bit. Like I called my husband the other day. I was like, um, April Taurus, and he was like, "What does that mean?" And I was like, April Tauruses are more Aries than they are Taurus. Like, the rest of us Taurus, or the May Tauruses over here fit your stereotypical Taurus. We're sleepy, we want the luxuries, we want food. And then he's an April Taurus, so he's more Aries. So
Stubborn, more
yeah,
stubborn.
like go, go, go. He doesn't take naps. What kind of Taurus doesn't take naps? But yeah,
Uh,
they bleed into one another a little bit.
yeah. Yeah. There you go.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day. And
I
if
hope you do
anybody,
too. It was great to have a conversation with you. I appreciate it so much.
yeah, and if anybody wants their chart read, reach out to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.